Tom Downey here for the Cowboys Report. The Cowboys season has 2 games left. They are out of the playoff race, and I would like to see this team embrace some changes. Not to lose games on purpose necessarily, because that's not how organizations operate, but I do think the main focus should be 2025. You should focus on playing your young guys, your long-term options over players who may or may not be here in 2025. The problem you run into, your head coach is still fighting for his job. He's going to want to play the players that give him the best shot to win games and prove to the Jones boys that he should return. The difference in organizational goals and alignment has been a problem all year long, under radar for the Cowboys. It's going to show up down the stretch here as well. Do you want to play the youth for the Cowboys in the final game of the season, the changes to start these different players? If you do want that to happen, I think there are several very real names that should play more here. Like the video on today's show. First up is Tyler Guyton, the team's first-round pick at left tackle. I am not saying that Guyton has played some incredible level of football, or that he hasn't been a penalty boy, or that he hasn't been a bit of a disappointment so far in his first year. But you can't really convince me that you're better off playing Chuma Edoga snaps at left tackle in games that don't matter for the playoff angle. I refuse to acknowledge that. Guyton needs work. He has not been good enough. I think we all know that. He's shown some flashes. But it's not like Chuma Edoga's good. He's also bad. And you keep doing this weird thing where you give Guyton some playing time and then pull him and then sit him when he makes a mistake. But you also don't sit Edoga when he makes the same mistake or worse mistake. It doesn't make any sense to me. In the recent games, and I did it based on snap counts because they're almost identical. Guyton had the 4 penalty game. Hasn't had one since then. Has had fewer sacks, fewer hits, the same hurries, and nearly identical run blocking grades on almost the exact same pass block snaps. There's 2 more in favor of Edoga. You can't convince me, even if there is a segment out there that just didn't like the Tyler Guyton pick, which I get, and rather than hope he gets better, it comes off like they want him to fail. And that's probably not you watching. That's probably more of a Twitter thing than anything. But why would you not play young, talented, but raw, inconsistent, needs development first-round pick so you can play Chuma Edoga? At a certain point, the big picture does matter more than winning games in Week 17 and Week 18. And the Eagles are not an easy matchup. Good. Put him out there. You'll benefit by getting him more reps at tackle in the future. So should Guyton start against the Eagles? I am adamant he should. I think it's frankly wrong to not start him. Why for yes and for no? Because I believe in democracy. Get your votes at the pinned comment of today's show. Y or N in the comments section. Next up is Hunter Luepke, the fullback / running back who had showcased some good things, specifically back when Dak was involved with the offense. They've kind of phased him out since then. He's got 20 touches this year. And it's something like 17 of them or 16 of them have gone for first downs. Like a really good ratio, despite not being big chunk plays there. Hunter Luepke has already taken over the pass protection reps instead of Ezekiel Elliott because he's been better at it. Why are you not giving him the short yardage ones too? Wouldn't it be nice to know, or at least have more confidence in, that Luepke can be your short yardage back? The Cowboys haven't really used him in that regard. He fumbled against the Dolphins on that 4th and 1 carry, or the goal line carry, and they haven't used him since. They kind of brought Zeke in just to be that guy. Well, Zeke's not going to be here next year because he's not. It's time, unfortunately. Let's let Luepke be the short yardage back. See what he can do. Let him be the John Kuhn role for Mike McCarthy. Because that could potentially fill a role for you next year. Because he's going to be under contract. He'll be back. He'll be back. Give him a bigger role. What do you have to lose here? Sticking on offense here, then we'll get to defense in a second. I'm going to backslash these guys and count them as one. Jonathan Mingo and Ryan Flournoy. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is banged up playing through his injury. We'll see about Jalen Tolbert and his dislocated, hyperextended, and punctured the skin finger injury. Brandon Cooks is who he is. So we'll have to figure out how that's going to get organized and balanced. And he's just not a good player. He's older. I want to play my young guys. You spent a 4th-round pick on Jonathan Mingo. He's got 2 catches on 11 targets. That's awful. Now, it's not all his fault. That is very much maybe some quarterback woes there too. Flournoy's been a little bit better as of late. He's showcased some good things to stop fumbling. I want to give both those guys some run because I just want to see if they can show me some more flashes and build some momentum when they'll be on your team next year. Who do you like more of these two? M for Jonathan Mingo, F for Ryan Flournoy. Let me know in the comments of today's show. I won't go too long on Marshawn Kneeland here because I do want him to play more. He's only got a TFL. He's got some pressures. Hasn't been an impact player necessarily so far this year. It's been a bit quiet. The issue for Kneeland is he's still coming back from his injury. I think he's been on a bit of a pitch count. Carl Lawson's played really well. Chauncey Golston has played really well as well. That makes it a bit complicated for me to figure out how you get more than the 30-40% of the snaps from Marshawn Kneeland. But I do want to give him as much playing time as possible as the Cowboys move down the stretch here because he's a second-round pick. I want to play my young guys moving forward. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by the Tushy Bidet. It easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. Washing with a precise stream of fresh water removes 99% of bacteria compared to wiping with just toilet paper. Installation is simple and takes about 10 minutes to complete. Anyone can do it. People who have made the switch to Tushy use up to 80% less TP. There's no more clogged toilets, so you save your money and your ass at the same time. Every Hello Tushy Bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Give the gift of practical luxury this holiday season that benefits everyone in your household. Go to hellotushy.com/chat now to grab your deal before it's gone. Don't forget to give us a shout while you're there and let them know that Chat Sports and the Cowboys Report sent you. Go to hellotushy.com/chat for the best gift this holiday season. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's hellotushy.com/chat. Another defensive player here is Justin Rogers, who is back as a member of the Cowboys organization. Missed that news. They picked him up late last week off the practice squad from the Bengals. He has been signed to the active roster. He didn't play last week, and again, you're kind of in a weird spot. I think Linval Joseph has upped his play in the back half of the year. Your entire defensive front, frankly, has. Carlos Watkins has been a playable guy, unlike it was for a while with Jordan Phillips, who just didn't want to be here. But Rodgers is younger, and now that he's back on the team, he'll be here next year. He'll be under contract. Him and Mozzie are the only two defensive tackles on your roster who are guaranteed to be under contract next year with the way the Rodgers, the like an extreme RFA, they probably gave him actually just the cheap deal to balance out the numbers there because he's not free agency eligible. I'd like to get him some snaps just to get him some reps. I think those things are more important at this point in the season than fully embracing gotta play all your vets. It's a balancing act. The vets might not like it that much, but sometimes you got to do what's better for your organization, big picture. And at this point, you're now at that at this stage of the season. Now, we'll have more free Cowboys videos for you each and every single day. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. One final player here is Juanyeh Thomas. Now, I will asterisk this. It requires him to be healthy because he's still kind of recovering from that knee injury. Every time Juanyeh Thomas gets to play, he makes stuff happen. He makes plays happen. And I think Thomas is best deployed, based on how the Cowboys have used him previously, as more of a deep safety. Donovan Wilson, and I will give him credit for this, has very much upped his play the past few weeks. He has gotten significantly better than what we saw earlier on this season, and I applaud him for that. Malik Hooker's been mostly the same, and I like Hooker. I don't think he's a bad player necessarily. I thought he was better his previous 2 years in Dallas. I want to see if Juanyeh Thomas can be a starter for me next year. I want to see if he can do more than Malik Hooker. I want to see if he can make some impact plays for me. So I would like to see Juanyeh Thomas get back out there on the football field. It is unfortunate we haven't seen very much of him. I mean, he's played 65 defensive snaps this year. It was 25 against Washington, and I kind of thought he did some decent things in that game. Or 24 against Washington, 5 against Houston, when he, again, made some plays happen. I want to see him get more run. It seemed like he was going to, because he got 24 and then 2 against the Giants before he got hurt. I'd like to see more of that as we move forward here. So name a player who you would like to see more play in the final 2 weeks of the NFL season for the Cowboys. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, I fully expect to see a lot of Trey Lance comments in here. And I get it. Spent a 4th-round pick on him. There's upside. I have a really tough time seeing the Cowboys, especially this week, and they've already said they're not going to, sitting Cooper Rush, who's played the best consecutive 2 games of his NFL career ever. Like, he's playing well. I'm not going to anticipate the Cowboys going, yes, now he will play Trey Lance. If they lose against Philly, maybe it's a different conversation, but I don't think they're going to bench the guy who's playing well. And I think because of that, it's a bit unlikely. And there are some other players who I think you could argue for that I'm just not really going to get my hopes up here. Trey Lance, obviously one of them. Deuce Vaughn, why do I feel like they're just going to activate Ezekiel Elliott no matter what? Just kind of feels like the case there. Although I have a tough time finding an argument to play Zeke snaps over Deuce Vaughn snaps at this point in the year. But is what it is. Matt Waletzko, I think they'll continue to play Terrence Steele. By the way, under the radar has actually been pretty good. His last 5 games, he's allowed 3 pressures. That's actually really good stuff. Damone Clark couldn't play over Nick Vigil. I think this team is out on him. He's a trade candidate, cut candidate after this year ends. It's a future video. Kamon Hall is a nickel corner for this team. He's also nursing a hamstring injury. Not going to happen. I'd love to put Izzy Mukuamu out there on the outside at corner. They just seem to view him as a nickel. He gets like the occasional rep. Like there's some package stuff for Izzy Mukuamu, who's played 4 snaps against the Bucs, 17 against the Panthers. But I think he's just kind of viewed as a backup defensive back, and they are going to play Amani Oruwariye over him.